You forget sometimes that a brand new client, especially if they're coming from like a social media ad, they know nothing about you. Nothing. You might have a phone call. They book a session and they're like, I just booked a session and gave my credit card to someone. I don't even know who they are.
We see that all the time when we get new members and we say, okay, so show us your excitement sequence between booking and the day of the experience. And they go, what do you mean?
The first thing he did was ask you your why. And I think that's a lesson that we need to learn, is that you've got to start with the why.
Hey, and welcome back to the Difference Maker Revolution podcast. And we have Jeanine, all tanned, all the way back from Greece, Jeanine, right?
Yes, I know.
Well, we're not talking about Greece in a takeaway or a fast food joint, right? We're talking about the country.
Or in your car.
Although that is how my son greeted me when I got home. He's like, Mommy, you're looking a little greasy. Kids love their puns.
We've Steve all the way from Oz in Australia, and at the time of recording, Jeanine and Steve are getting ready for the big game tomorrow, which is the US against Australia in the World Cup. A true World Series, because there's all countries of the world involved, America.
I know, that's your little dig on baseball.
Aussies versus the Americans. Yay.
Aussies versus the Americans. Should be fun.
Very exciting.
I'm the typical Irish diplomat. I'm the referee in the middle of the two of them. So here we go.
Wait, what are you talking about? You offered to be our bookie earlier.
Well, I was trying to get you to place the bet, There was nobody was willing to do so on your behalf, either of the two of you. I don't know whether that's a reflection.
But I don't know enough about soccer. It's just like, all I know is America versus Australia. Let's just get on. It's great.
You do it for the fun, though. But both of you have entered the company-wide, fun event, where we all draw a team, and whoever's team wins the World Cup, then they get the highest amount of money, and then the second place, I think, gets some money, and the third place gets some money. So we'll have a bit of fun with that.
It'll be fun. It adds some fun to watching it.
Absolutely. All right, let's kick off. Jeanine, Steve has loads of questions for you, and I have questions for you too. So can't wait to find out about how you put together your wardrobe for this trip.
Off to Greece. Start at the beginning.
My gosh, you guys are so funny. We're going to talk about my shoes. I know. Steve loves talking about shoes. Steve, you're a shopper, so you love. I've been around at conferences, and you're like, let's go shopping.
I love to be sold to, Jeanine. But maybe we should start with the booking, because the booking comes before you need to go and buy shoes.
That is true.
Maybe we should start for the booking.
Be like The Sound of Music and start at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Well, where would you like me to start? Ask me a good question.
So you need to start by, painting the picture, painting the scene, like we say to all of our clients, paint the scene.
So it started with the idea of going on a cruise, actually. So the initial idea was my brother and I had been on a cruise last year together, and we were talking about like, wow, let's go on a cruise somewhere else besides just the Caribbean, because we live in Florida, so it's easy to hop on a cruise ship here and go all over. So he started looking at some different ideas, and we ended up on the idea of going to the Mediterranean. So he first started investigating Mediterranean cruises, and that slowly grew as he was investigating, going for cruise ships that had no kids because we wanted it to be adult only, to he wanted to do like a luxury type cruise, so that way it'd be more of an elevated experience. And so it kind of grew from like the silly Margaritaville cruise we went on in the Caribbean last year to let's go on an elevated cruise to, you know what, that's still too many people. What if we chartered a sailboat? So it was kind of this interesting progression that ended up in the final idea of like, oh my God, that would be amazing. And it would be such a unique experience to be able to just go on a sailboat chartered through Greece. And obviously you wouldn't do the whole Mediterranean just on a sailboat. You're just going to go through some islands in a smaller region. So that's where we ended up.
So Jeanine, just a quick question on that, because I have a question about, seeing as we're talking. Oh no, we're not on wardrobe yet, right? No, remind me to ask you a question about wardrobes, because what reminded me was you mentioned about your brother wanted an adult-only cruise.
Yes.
So I went on my first ever cruise this year, which was an adult-only cruise. And my daughters told me that I was to make sure that I wear a t-shirt and shorts with pineapples on them. Have you heard about this?
Did they really do that to you, Ronan?
So this is the thing, right? So when I told them that we were going on a cruise, on a Virgin cruise, and it was adult only. They told me that I was to wear t-shirts and shorts with pineapples on them. And I'm going, what do you mean pineapples?
You didn't, did you?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
But is that rumor true as to what that means?
Yes, it is. It is very true. It is a thing.
Okay.
There's a rumor? I'm obviously on the wrong cruises.
Yeah, we'll tell you offline.
I need to stop catching planes.
So if you're listening to us on this podcast, in the comments below, just tell us what that means if you know.
I have no idea.
If you're in the know. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. Yeah.
I know I've never worn pineapples or had a pineapple magnet on my door at a cruise, just in case people are wondering. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's your kind of thing. So anyway.
So, Miss Jeanine, looking for a cruise. As you were talking, I'm kind of almost thinking to myself, well, this is the biggest competitor to our industry as well, booking holidays. Because, well, let me ask you, what was the purpose? Why did your brother want to do this?
To get away and have fun. Spend some time together and see a different part of the world that none of us have seen before and do something different. He wanted a unique experience that we hadn't done before.
So a unique experience building connection with the people that mean the most to him, which is what we do.
I say it sounds familiar, right?
What we do. Anyway, go on. So he's looking for the cruise and he's now booking a sailboat.
Yes. So I think it's interesting because I even felt a little bit of a similarity in that too, right? You're looking you just think it's photos and then you end up in portrait experience, right? Like a difference maker portrait experience. But so we ended up, he ended up with this idea of the sailboat and he found a broker, right? Because you have to do it. It's a little bit different than booking through a cruise ship company, right? So you're not just booking through Virgin or Viking or any of these guys. It has to go through a private broker where they charter the boats. And so he did a little bit of research, tried to find the right one and found, the company that he built some trust with, had some good conversations with. And then he booked it. He found the one he liked and he booked the trip.
And then what happened?
They stole all of his money and there was no trip, right?
Right. Yeah. It all went to some weird wire. No. So, I know that's what you're leading at. So, right. So he booked this trip. Now, for anybody who's ever booked a trip overseas, and I think this would actually happen no matter what kind of vacation you booked, honestly, if you've never done it before, is you decide to do it, you spend the money on it, you wire the money over, or you pay it on however you're paying. And then all of a sudden you're like, holy crap, what did I just do? Especially when you're like the one booking it for everyone, right? Because it's just easier to do it that way. There's no way for 6 people to go book this. One person has to do it. So he booked it and he's like, what? And I remember him messaging, he's like, you need to look into this guy. Now I'm have the sinking feeling that I did this and I booked it and my money's going to disappear. We're going to show up in Greece and we're not going to have a boat, And it's like, or it's going to be a horrible boat and we're going to be in one of these horror stories. And so all of this doubt just started, he was so excited when he first did it. And then it was within that first week, it was just what have I done? I've made a mistake, it's going to be one of those horrible vacations and everything's going to go wrong. And, it was pretty funny. Yeah. It was total doubt, total, what have I just done?
He thought you had to bring a little bucket with you to be putting out the water the whole time, the sinking boat.
Well, and it's funny because it must not be only his fear because it was funny when we did get to the dock eventually, right after, a long travel, we got there and the, Leo, who is the broker guy, when we first got out of the car, there was one of those little dinghy boats. He's like, here's your boat, And it was, and we had already seen the name of the boat elsewhere, so we knew it wasn't, but it was pretty funny. He even made a joke. So I'm like, oh, we must not be the only people worried about what boat you're actually going to get.
He hands you the oars.
Yeah.
So he's paid the money and he's starting to panic.
Yes. So, the company pretty soon, within that first week, we got the website link. We got some videos of the boats. We got the captain's itinerary for where we're going to be going. And so we started getting all that information. It makes you feel it's a little bit more real now, right? This is a legit company. They're sending us videos. They're sending us itineraries. And we took that information. We started doing our own research, right? All of us. We took the captain's itinerary. I plugged the itinerary into ChatGPT. I'm like, what do you think about this? Does this captain know what he's talking about? And because I didn't know any of these Greek islands from any island, right? I mean, like, Keith knows Syros. Like, it's all like they all sound the same. I had no idea. And there's like 1,000 Greek islands, anyways. So put them in to ChatGPT, and when ChatGPT spit back out, this is an A++ itinerary. Your captain knows what he's doing. And then it gave us like a description of each island and the routes and why he was doing it, what the benefit of each island was, why he chose this route. And I sent that to him, and we were all, my brother and we all read it. Like we had a little, WhatsApp group chat, and we all read it. And we're like, okay, ChatGPT says we're good. ChatGPT likes this itinerary. And so it did make us feel a little bit better about what we were going to be doing. And it helped us prepare too.
But I think that's everybody when they're buying. You're excited, you do your research, and then you make that decision, and then the reality stick slaps you across the face and you think, what have I done? And I think a lot of our clients are the same when they're booking their experiences. They're on a high and they book, and then they're like, there's that element of buyer's remorse.
We see that all the time when we get new members, and we say, okay, so show us your excitement sequence between booking the day of the experience. And they go, what do you mean?
Yeah. And that's what made me think of it right away, and actually when that happened to us, I started revisiting in my mind what we're sending our clients, because it's funny, like so often when you're in your business every day for like 20 years, right? Or 5 years or 1 year or whatever, however long you've been in your studio, what you know. And your existing clients that come back all the time, they know what you know. But you forget sometimes that a brand new client, especially if they're coming from like a social media ad, right? They know nothing about you, nothing. And they come to you. You might have a phone call. They book a session and they're like, I just booked a session and gave my credit card to someone I don't even know who they are. And you've got to imagine that some of that same fear, doubt, worry has to set into their mind, no matter what kind of amazing conversation you had on the phone, no matter how amazing your discovery call was. That I just can't believe that doesn't happen to a brand new client when they come to you cold. Even if they come to you from a referral, who knows? They might think their friend is crazy. But especially when they come to you from a cold source like a social media ad. And so what we do from that point on makes a huge impact on not only the client showing up and not ghosting us, but showing up excited and ready to go for their experience and feeling good about that time between the booking to the session.
Which is important. And the first thing your brother did was reach out to you and the other members of the family. And so that fear then gets spread amongst all the people that are closest to him. And again, that's why from the booking to session, there's that sequence that you've got to involve the partners, you've got to involve the people that are important to them in that, because they're now in on the fear factor.
That's funny. Yes. Are there going to be spiders on my boat?
I'm imagining our clients do the same thing. That they're like, what have we booked? We're rolling up, and they haven't seen the studio. They haven't seen, anything. And they're, is it going to be an empty car lot that, that they're going to be going to? And so all of that communication in between helps alleviate that.
So Jeanine, Steve was talking there about the importance of communicating with everybody who's coming to the photographic experience. So, you were a group of 6 people going on this trip. Were ye all contacted individually eventually, or did it all go through?
No, it all went through him, the main booking person, which I was interested because I remember Steve asking me that. Did I get my own, did we each get our own phone calls? And we didn't. And I actually think that would have been really interesting for them to have done. Now, what they did do, which I found to be really cool, is when we first got on the boat, Ellie, who is this our stewardess lady, the one who is pretty much our take care of everything person on the boats, because obviously we're not going to bug the captain, he's busy. And so as soon as she took us each to our cabins, she had her little notebook and she asked us all sorts of questions, what do you like to drink in the morning? Do you like coffee? Do you like tea? How do you take your coffee? How do you take your tea? And what kind of drinks, what kind of beverages do you like? Which we did. Oh, let me back up. They did do that ahead of time, but that was done. The beverage part and the food part was done through my brother, but with everyone. Like we had they asked us for that feedback, obviously, because they're cooking on the trip. Like, what kind of food do you like? Do you have any allergies? What kind of beverages do we need to stock? Because they have to provision the boat. So that they did do ahead of time, but they did it through him. And then he asked us and we all kind of put that information together. But when we were on the boat, Ellie did meet with each of us individually, find out our own personal likes. So that way she could have everything prepared for us as we liked it throughout the day.
So you weren't all given fishing lines and said, fish for your food, no?
Now that would have been, we might not have ever eaten Ronan.
So I got their hands full with the bucket, trying to bucket the water out, Ronan. So what impression did that give you of the experience once she did that, Jeanine?
That was awesome. I got to tell you, it was really cool. And I love that she even wrote it down, I mean, to me, that meant that she really cared to make sure she got it right. And she had her little notebook. And I thought that was really cool to see her write it down. And she was asking us questions and she was very diligent about writing down everything we said. That she's like, this is my little book and this is how I study and make sure that I get everything right for your trip. And so it did. It made us feel special, each of us, because we were all seen, because she saw each of us individually and took that time to learn about what we liked. So that way we didn't have to ask every morning. Even for something as, most people, your morning beverage is very important. It can set the tone for your whole day. So yeah, I thought that was really nice. And she gave us a little rundown and showed us all the nooks and crannies of the room and got us all very comfortable in there too, which was nice. And it was personalized.
So what did you take away from this experience do you believe that you could bring into your business? Because we can learn from businesses that are completely different from our own. And we can learn from good experiences as well as bad experiences, because sometimes it reminds us of all the things that we have started to take for granted and are doing robotically. And sometimes it makes us be a lot more intentional with, if you are asking somebody how they take their coffee, maybe we become a bit too complacent in the way that we do it. And so we have to revisit how excited we are, how we go about doing it. Do we need a notepad? Even though we can remember, it sent a signal to you, it sent a sign to you, and it affected you, the fact that she had a notepad and then she wrote it down. So sometimes we can tweak small things. So what did you take away? What do you feel as though you could take away and implement?
Definitely that the information, to me, definitely that right after the booking, that whole week where we were all still, even though we had decided to do it, we were all still in research mode, and to me, getting that information, being able to find a website that had good videos and reviews and stories of other seafarers that went on this trip with this crew, seeing that it's been the same crew together for 3 years. And that I thought was really impressive too. If they've been together that long, then that means that they get along, and it's not them learning each other on your trip. And then the research being done in AI too about it. But so what I realized and taking it back is I wanted to make sure now, and I'm working on a whole series of things. I realized what they did was good, but I think it could have been so much better, right? They could have had more specific videos that pertain to whatever kind of group we were, right? And I was like, how cool would it have been to have, they had a video and it was basically a tour of the boat with the crew on it and showing different things. But how cool would it have been to have an actual family on the boat to see what they were doing and how they were living their best vacation? And then, so with kids, without kids, having the different kind of things. So that way you're watching exactly what you were doing. And so that made me realize, I'm like, wow, for the studio, I really need to build up a better library of videos to be able to send when someone books, single mom, single dad, mom with older kids, big age gap, little age gap, lots of kids under 5, all the different things. And then that way you got to know that every mom always asks us, have you done this before? Have you seen, no one can handle my child, or, I have 5 kids under the age of 4. You sure it's going to be okay? So everybody has this own fear or doubt. And we have a lot of single mom clients too. And so if everything they see is a family with a dad, then I don't want them feeling bad if we send them a video with a dad, or we might have 2 moms, or we might have 2 dads. And people want to see that it's a situation like theirs, and that it's going to that, you know what I'm saying? And so I realized, that's what I really realized. I'm like, a generic video was great. And it did help us to realize that our money wasn't just out in the ether and we were going to show up and there was going to be a boat. And the crew looked amazing, and it gave us enough confidence to actually show up and not cancel the trip. But what would have been really nice is a group of adult friends hanging out and having fun to actually visualize a little more what that trip would look like for us. And I think that's one of the things I really want to focus in on. We've done it again, like you said, sometimes you do things you don't realize why you're doing it. And I've done that with clients when we book them on the phone, and I can hear not necessarily the fear, but the worry in their mind. And I'm like, don't worry, let me show you. I have a reel I can send you exactly a client like you. Right. And we've done that, and it's really been great. But I'm like, how much better would it be if that was systemized? So it was always done that way.
And it's done for everyone.
And to everyone.
Rather than just the people that show their fear. Because some people, that fear doesn't hit them until after they've put down the phone. So you don't get to hear the opportunity. The other thing too, Jeanine, is they let you do all the work. They let you do all the research. You had to go and find all that thing. You had to put it into ChatGPT. How awesome would it be if they had have done that work and they would have sent you pretty much the results of what ChatGPT gave you? Here's the itinerary, and this is why.
And this is why. Right.
And then list those islands and all the benefits of those islands and why they chose those islands. And maybe there's an emotional tie to some of those islands for some of the crew members. How awesome would it be to know that, to know their story on that? But the biggest thing for me, what you said that they could possibly do better is anticipate that after somebody's just swiped their credit card for, I don't even want to know how much that is, that they would be worried and that they shouldn't have to go searching. And they could be keeping you really excited by injecting that little bit of excitement at various stages leading up to the trip with these pieces of information that are going to make you feel confident that there is a crew, there is a boat, those islands exist. You're not going to end up shipwrecked because you haven't bucketed the water out fast enough and all these other things. So there's a lot that goes through people's minds. And I think as photographers, we need to know that our clients are going through exactly the same thing. And this is all about understanding your avatar, understanding those hidden fears that they have and anticipating what they're going through so we can inject those pieces of information, keep them excited and build the trust over time in small chunks and get those libraries happening, which is what we're working on at the moment, aren't we, Jeanine, with our members?
We are working on that with our members. And I think it's going to be transformative, even just like a client who may not have canceled or not showed, but to get them even more excited about what's to come, So to me, it's super exciting to think about. And to me too, I got to tell you, I don't know, like the last time you guys, I know Ronan, you've been on vacation pretty recently, and Steve, and like to me, like the anticipation of the vacation is almost as fun as the vacation and planning for it and preparing for it. And like Tim and I, we were, buying clothes and we were researching online and like, what are we going to buy? And I know Ronan wants me to talk about my shoes, but like for months ahead of time, we were anticipating this trip and we were planning and organizing and how are we going to pack our suitcases? And like, it was just, and we had so much fun in preparing for the experience that to me was almost as fun as the experience itself because we just had so much fun doing it.
So Jeanine, let me throw something out to you. At this point, in the planning and you getting excited and Tim getting excited, what difference would it have made to your experience if you received a phone call from the broker, the captain, or one of the crew members?
Yeah, no, I know. We were thinking about that because you had asked me that earlier, and God, that would have been amazing. I think it would have been a really welcomed call for all 6 of us, honestly. To be able to learn, like, even just basically, like, have you been to Greece before? What are you most excited about? What, like just any kind of conversation, honestly, would have been pretty damn cool. It would have added to the excitement even more. And they are real. These are real people. We're not going to show up and there's not going to be a boat.
So let's go to the most important thing, even more important than your life vest, your shoes.
My shoes. Oh my God, you crack me up.
Because you can't go to Greece without the right pair of shoes, can you?
No, you can't. And apparently without the right 3 pairs of shoes, as I learned from my shoe salesman. But yeah, the whole shoe buying experience in and of itself is like a whole lesson in sales right there. I'm with you, Steve. I am like the best at being sold to. I even know what they're doing. And I'm like, oh my God. But yes, I'll buy all 3 pairs.
But that's what makes it so good, because when you give that service to other people, it's so awesome to receive it back.
It is. It really is. And so it was interesting. And I think there's so many things for our listeners to take out of this. And I'm sure you'll pull it all out, Steve. When I knew I needed shoes, I knew I didn't have a good pair of walking shoes. And I knew we were going to spend time in Athens, walking the city and sightseeing, going to see the Acropolis and just walking the city. So I'm like, I need better walking shoes than what I have. And then I also knew I wanted a nice pair of sandals, because on the islands, like you see all the pictures of people, no one's wearing sneakers, right? They're all wearing beautiful sandals. And I also knew I couldn't pack multiple pairs of sandals because it's a limited amount of things you can bring on a boat. So I wanted a good pair of walking sandals that wouldn't hurt my back, that I could walk in, but still look good wearing a dress or a nice pair of shorts or whatever. So I had done some research online and I had seen one brand online that I liked. And so I went to this shoe store, and it's a shoe store that I knew carried that brand, and they measure your feet, you know, the places that measure your feet and make sure that you get good walking shoes. And so I went in and he asked me, so he didn't just say, okay, what are you looking for? He's like, so, you know, he asked me what I was planning for, like why was I there to buy shoes? So of course I told him, like, I'm going on a trip to Greece and I need a good pair of walking shoes and a pair of sandals. And so he's like, oh, okay, well, let's measure your feet, right? And so I told him, I said, I've seen this pair of shoes online and I know you have them here. And so he asked me, and he's like, and I could see the look in his face, and he's like, okay. He's like, totally understand those are very popular and we do have them here. But let's measure your feet, and I'm going to ask you some questions, and I'm going to bring you out a variety of shoes to try on, and we're going to see what works best for you, right? Measured my feet. We did the sandals first. He brings out like 4 pairs of sandals, one of them being the ones I had requested. But the first pair he put on my feet were this German pair of sandals. I can't even remember the brand name now. I'd have to look. But the German pair of sandals, actually, I don't want to admit it because then you'd look it up and know how much I spent on these sandals. And so tried on these sandals, and I swear to God, it was like clouds wrapping around my feet. I was like, oh my God, these shoes are amazing. And walked around and they were like a cork sole, like what your feet sat on.
I have a pair of them.
My God, I was like, this is amazing. Like, oh, they feel so good. And then I tried on the pair that I had come in asking for, and they felt like crap compared to what I had just put on my feet.
He set you up.
He set me up. They hurt in different places, and I could feel and I was like, and then he gave me an even cheaper pair too, right? And I was like, well, these aren't going to do. Oh, I'm afraid to ask how much that pair is, but after wearing it, how do I not buy that, right? And so I ended up buying that pair of shoes, and I justified it in my mind, like, well, I'm going to be walking a lot. I don't want my back to hurt, because then I'll have to take medicine. And so I can spend the money on the shoes and not have back pain. It'll be worth it, you know, and I got them in a brown color so I can wear them with everything. And so I bought them.
And I'm going to book another trip to Greece so we can use it the next time we go.
Right, we can wear them again. Actually, I have worn them to the studio many times now. So they've gotten their fair share of use. And then we went to go get a good pair of walking sneakers, which I needed anyways. I haven't had a good pair. So got those. Of course, those were people in the US, I'm not sure if you guys have Brooks over there, but they're a really good brand of sneaker and walking shoe. So I got a pair of those. And then he's like, well, if you're going to be getting on and off the boat, you need a good pair of water shoes too. I'm like, oh, I hadn't thought about that. I was just thinking I would, you know, get my feet wet. And he's like, no, like when you're going to in the dinghy boat, and you might need to have shoes that can get wet. You're not going to want to wear your nice sandals or your walking shoes. He's like, you really need a third pair. You really need a pair that can get wet. I'm like, oh, I didn't think about that. And so then we tried on some of those, and I ended up getting all 3. And then they had a club that you could join and get 10% off, and then you could use it for 6 months. And I bought that too. So, yeah, the shoe buying experience was funny. But yeah, I went in to buy 1 pair of shoes. I walked out buying 3. Went in with a specific brand in mind and walked out with the brand 3 times as expensive as what I was originally looking at, but oh, so comfy on my feet, let me tell you. Never had my feet hurt, never got a blister that entire time, and my back never hurt at all.
The great thing about them, Jeanine, is they last forever. I had 1 pair that lasted me 10 years, I think. Yeah, they're really good. I can't remember the brand name there. Yeah.
They're really good. And I've been wearing both the sneakers and the shoes in the studio. And you know, all of our photographers listening, you know that you're on your feet a lot. and you're up and you're down and you're walking. And my back has felt so much better wearing both the sandals and the sneakers in studio too. So, I'm getting my money's worth out of it. But it was an interesting experience because so many of our clients walk in going, I just want this. I just want a few prints. I only want digital images. I want this. I know what I want, And he didn't accept that, but he didn't tell me I was wrong. He just showed me something better, which I thought was very interesting.
Were they Birkenstocks?
They were not Birkenstocks.
Okay. Even more expensive than Birkenstocks.
I'm going to have a look. I'll tell you tomorrow.
But, okay, the real prize, Jeanine, what did you take away from this?
From the shoes or the trip?
From the shoes.
From the shoes. A little bit of what I said was that, when people walk in, they might think they know what they want. But it's our job to actually show them an experience, to show them what they really need. To have a conversation with them, find out what it is that they're actually going to be experiencing so that you can educate them on and show them what it is that is actually going to work best for them in their life. And not to be afraid, and to always add on one more thing. I had and he tried to add more too, by the way. He tried to add socks and a bag and all these other things. And I finally said, no, I'm done. But he never stopped. He always had to add one more thing, one more pair of shoes. The membership. How about some socks? And so from a sales point of view, he was brilliant. And it was just so effortless on his part. I never actually felt sold to. It was just him trying to help me, right? Help me get the right shoe. Help me get the right shoes for my trip. Had he never asked me if I was going to Greece, he never would have sold me that third pair of shoes.
And so, the first thing you said, Jeanine, which stuck with me, is that the first thing he did was ask you your why. And I think that's a lesson that we need to learn, is that you've got to start with the why, because that's our foundation, and that's where we build from. Because ultimately, why you were there gave him everything he needed to serve you, so you didn't feel sold to. Because from there, you're going on a trip with your family. You need a pair of shoes that are not going to hurt your back, because you struggle with that. You're going to be doing a lot of walking and you want to be comfortable. You don't want to be, getting blisters. And you're going to be in another country on a boat where you can't just run to a shoe store while you're in the middle of the ocean. And so starting from your why, he was able to then create an experience for you where you bought the unexpected. He actually educated you on what you needed and the things that you needed to learn and know about, so that way you can make a decision. And I think that's huge when we're selling, starting with the why, making that our foundation, and then showing people how what we do helps them achieve their why. So then they never feel sold to. And then when they leave, there's never any buyer's remorse, because we've exceeded their expectations. That's what I heard, Jeanine.
You heard well, Steve.
And that's what we all heard. And you too can learn how you can give an experience to your clients where they just want to keep on spending with you. All you have to do is click on the link below and apply to join the inner circle at Difference Maker Revolution. We'll see you on the inside.
See you on the inside.
Yeah, then.